Color. Color is constantly signaling and informing us every single day. It tells us how to drive our vehicles, what to wear, and even warns us when something might be dangerous. And in Jak and Daxter, color is everywhere. For those who don't know, I mean, seriously, where have you been? Jak and Daxter is a fully open world 3D platformer created by Naughty Dog, the same people who brought you Crash Bandicoot, Uncharted, and The Last of Us. In Jak and Daxter, there are four main colors of eco, the life energy of the world. Technically six, but we don't have to worry about those for this game. We have green, blue, red, and yellow. And if we're going to start this series anywhere, I think it's best to start where the game drops us. Right into green.
I have asked the plants, but they do not remember. The plants have asked the rocks, but the rocks do not recall. Even the rocks do not recall.
In 1999, whilst wrapping up Crash Team Racing and knowing they'd be parting ways with Crash right after, Naughty Dog had already begun work on a completely new IP. Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, would come to store shelves in December of 2001, right on time for the holiday season and more notably, fresh off the back of the publisher's previous, massively successful trilogy. This was, in essence, a rebirth for Naughty Dog, with an IP they could actually hold on to, and a product that would express the creative direction of the developers going forward. It made them feel like a brand new company, and in turn, this game made me feel like a brand new gamer. Not just once, but multiple times throughout my upbringing, I encountered this game again and again, and with each playthrough I learned a new lesson. At 8, it was, you don't have a memory card, so you're gonna have to do your best each time. At 15, it was, you could beat the game, or you can complete the game. The difference lies in the amount of effort you put in. At 19, it was something a little deeper. You see, the way Green Eco works in the Precursor Legacy is that it's essentially your health bar.
Those little green balls of energy on the ground are a type of eco. Pick up 50 small green ecos, or one big green one to increase your health.
However, even if you lose all of your health, the game just spawns you at the nearest checkpoint. There's no life counter like there is in Crash or Mario, which means you get to explore without any real risk of losing progress. It creates an environment where you can really take everything in around you fearlessly. They wanted you to see their world and didn't tax the player to do it. At 19, I was becoming an adult, and it felt like everything had a cost or consequence. You're not in high school anymore, so socially, if you didn't reach out, you didn't get to be included in much. If you did reach out, there was a risk of rejection. Very public rejection considering the rate at which social media has exploded over the past decade. There was work, college, family drama, and a schedule that was mine to make. Nobody could design it for me. The pressures of the world cornered me on all sides, and if any one of those things fell through, there'd be consequences. Jak and Daxter was the escape. A place where I could go and spend time in and no amount of faltering would have a lasting impact. There were no expectations of me, it let me be, well, green. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, starts the player off green. As the first game in the trilogy, it asks nothing of you. No prior knowledge, no history, just learn, explore, and enjoy when you get a particular section of the game just right. Samos, the Green Sage, oversees Sandover Village and its adjacent areas. It is, for the most part, untouched by the actions of the game's antagonist, who we'll get to later.
Every bone in my body tells me that the answers rest on the shoulders of a young boy. Oblivious to his destiny, uninterested in the search for truth, and rejecting of my guidance.
Okay, so we are dropped into the world of two best friends. Jak, a headstrong and curious hero, and Daxter, who is cowardly and tends to want to evade trouble, but provides excellent comic relief. They're exploring the forbidden Misty Island, where they overhear two mysterious figures planning to attack their village. They continue poking around until they come across a pool of dark eco. Things quickly go to shit as a bone armor lurker spots them and Jak fights him off. The fight sends Daxter tumbling into a pool of dark eco, and it spits him back out as an Otzel, a mixture of otter and weasel. They then return to Sandover Village and ask Samos the Sage for his help. Samos says he can't help bring Daxter to his previous form, but that Gul Acheron, the main sage, can. He then instructs them to take the teleport gate to begin their quest and get some practice in before the true adventure begins. This is the impetus to our quest. Jak and Daxter gives us just enough to buckle up for an adventure and sends us off to the races. Frozen in tutorial bliss, you can tackle the levels in any order. This provides total player autonomy, and that autonomy becomes permission. Permission to fail as much as you want in the most forgiving environment possible. At least for now.
Before you do anything else, you better go through the warp gate and get some practice on Geyser Rock.
So Geyser Rock is where we're sent to complete our training, and a few things make this level stand out as one of the best tutorial levels I've ever played. If you play with game hints on, which most people will on their first go around, you're given hints as to what different things do as you explore the main path. Pretty standard stuff. Kill enemies using your kit, 7 scout flies in each level, pay attention when there's eco around because it helps you activate tech or uncover secrets, and platforms you can't platform no mo. But that's just the stuff on the tutorial path. There's nothing stopping you from, say, seeing how far you could swim, or exploring areas that aren't part of the teaching process. And that in itself becomes another teachable moment. When I first played this as a kid, that is exactly what I did. Where a developer would resort to a physical wall to indicate out of bounds, Naughty Dog opted for the trial by fire, and I fucking love it. Though the sound of that lurker shark still gives me a heart attack every time I hear it.
And even if they aren't willing to just give them away, greasing their palms with a few precursor orbs should do the trick.
After learning how to run, jump, and not become fish food, we return to the village. I have to say that letting the player have a self-guided tour with optional help from NPCs is one of the most innovative things Naughty Dog could have done for this era, and Sandover Village is a wonderful way to bridge the gap between levels. You could book a straight shot toward any direction and find something to do for yourself, and if you do seek a little more guidance, well, it just so happens that just about every villager is having trouble that'll point you in the right direction.
I traced part of the pipeline back to the Forbidden Temple. Maybe you should look there for some type of switch.
This is the region I tend to go for first because it hides secrets that are required to access areas even beyond the level. Nothing in this game exists in a vacuum, and this level is living proof of that. Outside of an overworld looming with creatures trying to kill you, this area is also home to a secret underground tunnel where you can activate the blue eco switch. This opens up several blue eco switches in other areas such as Sentinel Beach and Fire Canyon.
Follow the lamps. They'll take you right there. Now, all of you, get out of here!
Sentinel Beach is an interesting case that reinforces the game's theme of free will. Samos and the Road Watcher actually send you here first, and as a kid I followed their advice. You can absolutely clear the green eco vents and hatch the Flut egg without any trouble. But this is where the game starts rewarding you for taking your own path and punishing you for simply following orders. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't visit Forbidden Jungle first, you won't have access to the cannon atop the tower here. Those lurkers will keep trying to murder you until you unlock the vent and finally kick their teeth in. It's a beautiful teaching philosophy paired with one of the game's most beautiful areas.
Wait a minute! We are not going back to Misty Island! Are we?
When I first found out that Misty Island was a playable area, my jaw hit the floor. You're telling me that the area from the beginning of the game is somewhere we can actually return to? Chef's kiss. You unlock this area by completing the fishing minigame in, you guessed it, Forbidden Jungle. This is what I'll be referring to as a landmark level, and I'll elaborate more on that as we go through the game. Essentially, these areas are where we get to see the antagonist's plans in action. They're typically tucked away off the beaten path in each region, giving us a glimpse into exactly what the villains are working toward. Honestly, no notes.
But its volcanic soil is hot enough to melt precursor metal. You can't just walk through it.
But you could fly over it if you had a zoomer equipped with a heat shield. I just happen to be working on such a thing at this very moment.
Fire Canyon has always been strange to me because while eco isn't necessarily elemental in nature, the game gives each village a pretty strong elemental identity. Spoilers for an almost 25-year-old game, I guess, but Sandover Village is lush and green, while Rock Village is constantly raining and surrounded by water. So it's strange to me that what separates these two is a canyon of molten lava. You'd think they saved that for the transition from Blue Eco to Red Eco, but I digress. This is our first run-in with the zoomer if we didn't play Misty Island, and I think it's a great little section for getting accustomed to its controls. I also love the added danger of having to keep the zoomer cool lest we overheat and explode.
I think we're in trouble!
Now that I went over some of these levels, I think it's time for a much needed
Boss Rush.
Nah, I'm just messing with you guys. I'm pretty sure Boss Rush is retired at this point. It's kind of part of my old era and makes me cringe a little bit every time I see it. But anyway, that's where the level list ends for this video. But I think it's important to go over them because they showcase Naughty Dog's unique design philosophy going into the game. No loading screens, minimal hand-holding, and the freedom to explore without any real consequences mean that being new, or being green, is absolutely okay. Sometimes it's easier to keep it simple and get good at simple. Speaking of simple, let's talk moveset real quick.
You can jump once, then jump again in the air to reach even higher ledges.
The developers gave us this incredible world to explore and make our own, but how we traverse it is just as significant as the exploration itself. I love the moveset in Jak and Daxter because it keeps things simple. No skill points, no permanent buffs. The game basically says, here's your paint, now make a masterpiece. Jak's main moves are jump, double jump, punch, spin kick, uppercut, and head bash. If you want to get really fancy, you can roll into a jump. This is called, surprise surprise, a roll jump. These are all the tools that you'll ever need to complete the game from beginning to end. Eco, of course, augments these abilities, but for the majority of the game, this is all you get. And personally, I wish more games would go back to this. I get a rush out of seeing a gap that looks just out of reach and thinking, can I get there? You give it a shot, and sure enough, you nail it. You never need loading screens or fast travel when you make your game fun to traverse from beginning to end. I mean, just look at what Insomniac did with Spider-Man 2. It simply can't be beat. But Jak and Daxter proves that you don't need an enormous moveset to make moving through the game world satisfying. By keeping it simple, the game gives the player an opportunity to go from what can Jak do to what can I do with Jak. And that shift is yet another rewarding part of being a brand new player. And I think that's the key word here, rewarding. I feel like Jak and Daxter has a way of rewarding its players each and every time they start a new game. You get to be brand new each go around, and you get to enjoy the many satisfying parts of its structure with no constraints. Green is the core color of this section because of the freedom the game gives us to be exactly that. The game is growth. You start with the basics and then master them. This game is a chance to start over every single time I play. Whether I'm 8, 19, or 27 as I am right now, it's my reset button. And it's my home. This video is the first of a 4-part series where I'll be looking at Jak and Daxter through the lens of color. I've seen many creators tackle this IP in a million different ways, but never quite like this. So I hope you'll consider sticking around and subscribing because in another 2 weeks we're going to be going blue. And if you want more Nostalgia Nate in the meantime, I make a ton of short form content here on YouTube as well as TikTok and Instagram. I also stream on Twitch 3 times a week. I'll put all the relevant links in the description below. Thanks a ton for checking me out and taking a chance on me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to give yourself some much needed love today.